you probably heard about Amazon during this year, and you've decided that it's an interesting business for you to try. If you have started selling on Amazon, or if you haven't, Q4 is the time for you to start being laser focused on your Amazon business. Now, today in this video, I've got a special guest, Kian Golzari. We did a collab video together a few months ago. I'll leave it in the description box below if you want to watch it. It's all about Alibaba suppliers and how to get suppliers and all of that interesting, juicy information. And because we got so many positive comments and a lot of you reached out to me, today we're doing another video with Kian all about how to properly negotiate with suppliers during Q4. Kian, welcome to the channel again.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. It's great to be back. Really, really happy to be here.
Fantastic to have you. I just want everybody to know a little bit about you. I'm sure a lot of people who do watch my channel, they already know you and your fantastic channel, Sourcing with Kian. I will leave it linked in the description box below, of course. However, just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the juicy details.
Sure. So thanks. My name is Kian Golzari, and I've been living and working in China for the past 10 years. And in that time, I've manufactured over 2,500 products, visited more than 500 factories, and attended more than 20 Canton fairs. And that has led me to working with brands such as the NBA, the Olympics, the United Nations, Ministry of Defense, and then a lot of big box retailers in the UK, Europe, and the USA, as well as helping Amazon private label sellers as well. And in that time that I sort of lived in China, I developed an office there. You know, I did a lot of like factory inspections, QCs. I saw how things work. I developed products. So I really got a really, really good understanding of how to get the best out of every situation in China, you know, whether it's your shipping, your logistics, your terms, your products, your prices, your factory selection, Alibaba, Canton Fair. And then, yes, I've just been doing that for 10 years. So happy to be here and happy to help out.
So Kian, first of all, I'm very happy to have you back, of course. And second of all, like I always say, Q4. Obviously, you work in both retail and online sales, and you have a lot of experience. Q4, most important 3 months of the year. We're gearing up for Q4. So let's talk a little bit about the strategies of how to talk to suppliers when you're actually negotiating either terms or trying to source products for Q4. So obviously suppliers are very busy, and delivery lead times, they're going to be much longer than we anticipate and expect, especially as shipping terms. So it's a big mess. So we're going to break it down and talk about the steps or what we can do as sellers in order to improve things. However, I always want to point out to everybody that, you know, life has become so easy. We can easily connect with somebody, for example, on Alibaba. Alibaba has become a fantastic website. You can easily send like a supplier we sometimes forget they're in a completely different country, whether that be China or anywhere else. And they have a completely different culture and they have completely different customs. So sometimes we forget all of that, and sometimes sellers anticipate that, it should be the same way that they're used to when they work with local suppliers in the country that they're in. So with that being said, you have amazing experience with the Chinese, you have an office and all of that. Before we dive into the actual nitty-gritty of how to negotiate, what are some things you can think about how to actually deal with suppliers? Is there a way? Should you be friendly? Should you be very straightforward? What should be the way in order to talk to a supplier?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for anyone who's ever heard my content before, I always stress the importance of the relationship with the manufacturer, because at the end of the day, people buy from people. Yes, you're buying from behind your laptop via Alibaba, but you're ordering from another person, from another company, from another factory. And the better relationship which you can develop with that manufacturer, the better terms you're going to get in your orders. They're going to give you lower MOQs, better prices, faster lead times, things like that, just because you have built that relationship. And, right now, like the easiest way to build that relationship and to communicate with suppliers is via like WeChat. So WeChat is a Chinese app. It's like Messenger or WhatsApp. That's what they use for their communication. Now, it's very important to have all the sort of order details, like your price and your delivery date, all confirmed in an email thread. But in terms of like, okay, this is what I did on my weekend, this is what I do in my spare time, these are my kids, all that sort of stuff. You want to be sharing images like that, you know, every now and then on WeChat, you know, check in, how are you doing? How was your weekend? What did you get up to? What did you have for dinner? You know, just try and build that relationship a little bit more so that when it comes to the time that you need to ask for a favor, when they say, hey, the lead time is 60 days, but you're like, look, I really need it in 45, otherwise I'm going to go out of stock. They're a lot more inclined to give that to you because you've built that relationship with them. So if just start chatting, you know, download the WeChat app, ask them what's their WeChat ID, and then just build that relationship, and it will just flow very, very organically.
Fantastic. Do you think that should happen with straight away with anybody you contact, or should it be with your actual supplier? So somebody that you've confirmed an order with and now you're working with them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think once you're ready to do business with them, once you're actually going to place an order, is the time to sort of really build that relationship and build it from like strength to strength. But it doesn't hurt to sort of build friendships with other people in China, even if you don't do business with them. But to make the most use of your time, it's probably best to do it with people that you're actually doing business with.
Perfect. So let's jump straight into it, and let's talk a little bit about, you know, negotiating prices, time, everything. So I'm just going to leave you to it because you know how to do this stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think for Q4, like the really important thing to realize is that like everyone's orders do bunch up towards the end of the year because Q4 is such a massive time because of the Christmas sales and things like that. But it's especially busy because Chinese New Year is end of January, and the workers start to pack up and leave, and they have like a month-long holiday from like mid-July to mid-February. So they're also like rushing orders because they want to just finish their orders to get back to their hometowns. So, and then once the factory shuts down for a month, they're also busy when they reopen in mid-February. So Q4 is just a very, very, very busy time. And whenever I've ever had any problems with stock, it's always been the ones which have been produced around Q4 because they're rushing and maybe they've taken on too many orders that they can't fulfill before Q4. So the way to get around this is really to like give your factory a forecast order. Like in the beginning of the year or the middle of the year, just start to say to them, look, this is how much we're going to need at Q4. This is how much we're going to need like in Q1 the following year. And you're not actually placing the order, but you're giving them a forecast to say, this is what we anticipate we're going to order. And if you're already doing business with them, then they're quite likely to book that production space for you and to hold it so that when they get orders from other customers, they will put those orders behind your one because you've booked that space. And you've also shown that you're a serious buyer by placing orders to them in the past. So they're willing to hold that space for you. So that's really important. And then the other thing you can do is that to guarantee that sort of delivery time in Q4 is ask your supplier to hold on to stock for you. Like whatever your product may be, whatever the raw materials are for that product, just ask them to keep it in their warehouse, to keep it in stock so that when you do place the order, they can immediately grab it and start producing rather than having to go and order the raw materials and then start producing. So there's a couple of things that you can do, but as well for Q4, like especially for new sellers, it's important to really have like a low MOQ as well, because you don't want to be rushing and placing a big order when you're just trying to trial something first. So the way I like to sort of get a low MOQ is, you know, utilize the suppliers on Alibaba, which have the less number of employees, less number of workers in their factory. Because when you go on Alibaba.com, and you select by suppliers, not by products. On the left side, you can select how many workers they have in their factory. And they have like 10 to 50, 50 to 100, like 200 to 500, and then like over 1,000. But if you want to get a low MOQ, you're a lot more likely to get it from a factory which has less number of workers, just because they're a little bit more flexible and they're probably also like a small company. So they're willing to like work around and help you. But if you order from a factory which has got like 1,000 workers, then they're going to be very like, very systemized and very, very efficient, and like they'll probably only do big orders, so they're less likely to give you that low MOQ. And then aside from that as well, you really want to educate yourself on like why the MOQ is the MOQ. So before sort of trying to negotiate, like if they say the MOQ is 1,000 pieces and you're like, oh, I need 300, before starting that negotiation, talk to multiple suppliers on Alibaba, like, and ask all of them, what is the MOQ, but why is the MOQ that? Because they might say, oh, it's because of your packaging requirements. Well, then, you know, change your packaging to something they have in stock. Or they might
Or
say, well,
because of your logo, because you want like a print out a logo on the product. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And then if that's the case, we'll just print your logo on the paper, on the packaging or something, just to get around that MOQ issue. Or they might say that you've asked for this like specific fabric pattern, which is, we have to order the rolls, which are 15, square meters and, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But just always ask them why, so you can understand why the MOQ is what it is. And then you can just sort of like tailor your products down to what is required to get that low MOQ. And then, if you do get any pushback on the MOQ saying, no, you need to order more, you should always start by saying, and this is important as well, it's not just a negotiation tactic. You should always start by saying, our first order with a new supplier is always like a trial order. And we have to do the trial order to make sure everything goes smooth. And that's just not with the product and the quality, but that's that, you pass the inspection, that the shipping goes smooth, that you deliver on time, that we receive the stock to Amazon with no damages. And then once we pass that process, then we can come back and place bigger orders. So you're kind of like dangling that carrot in front of them to say, look, if you give us this low MOQ and you pass the test, we're going to give you a big order like right after. So they're more inclined to be like, okay, I want to develop with this customer. I want to work with them for the long term. And that's another thing I always say to suppliers as well, that I want to work in partnership with you and I want to work in the long term with you. Those are two really important things, because when you place an order to a supplier, they're not just thinking, all right, how much money can I make from this order? They're thinking, how much money can I make from this customer over the next 3, 5, 10 years? So when you say things like work in partnership, work in the long term, they're like, okay, let's just get this first order out of the way, make sure everything goes smooth, and then we'll really build up the business together. So, and actually, like another thing I like to do as well, in order to get a low MOQ, you can always draft up a PO. Like, let's say you wanted like 300 pieces and they're saying no, 1,000, just make a purchase order with 300 pieces on it and send it to them and just say, hey, look, this is the order, it's good to go. Just if you give us this quantity, here's the order. And you're showing you're serious. You're showing that you actually want to go ahead and place this order. And they're a lot more likely to give it to you then. And also here, one final thing is that like, they like dealing with like serious buyers because they know you're actually placing business, right? So it's like, either you can say, I'm coming to China on this date in February next year, and I'll see you there and I want to visit your factory. Or if you don't have any intentions of going to China, but you've been before, then share images of when you've been in China before, so they know you're the type of buyer that goes to China. And if you've never been to China, just state your intent that I will be there on this date and I want to come and visit your factory. And then they're like, okay, this is the type of buyer which comes here, so we better take them seriously and let's just
that's very smart. Yeah. Like,
Let's
I'm coming to see you. You better give me the product. So Kian, another thing, I know you always say, and you always preach the idea of, yes, of course, price is important, but quality and customer service, meaning service that you get from your supplier, trumps prices, which is something that I believe in as well. However, I'm thinking of the people who are starting out on Amazon right now and they want to lower their risks as much as possible. Do you think there's a easy or maybe diplomatic way of negotiating a price, like go straight for the kill, or beat around the bush? What should happen?
Sure. I think the first step should definitely be understand what is the market price for your product, understand what is the real price. And you do that by educating yourself. And so the best way to do that is, for the product that you want to source, have a detailed specification sheet. And some people call it a tech pack. Some people call it a spec sheet. Other people also put this information in an RFQ, but you have to have some sort of document that says, this is everything to do with my product. Like, let's say it's an outdoor furniture chair. You want to say it's 80 by 40 centimeters. It's polyester fabric. It's steel tubing. This is the thickness of the steel. Every single minute detail these are the logos, this is the Pantone colors, and then you send that document to multiple suppliers. So everyone is quoting like for like, this is the exact specification that I'm quoting for. And then like the prices come back, $7.90, $8, $8.10, roughly it's around that price point. But if you never had that specification sheet and you're just going on Alibaba listings and you're saying, what's the price of that? What's the price of that? What's the price of that?
Yeah.
You're getting like, $5, $9, $12, $7.50, because everyone's quoting on different things. Some are quoting on steel tubing, aluminium tubing, different thickness, polyester material, nylon material, different dimensions. So first important thing is you have to be very clear on what you want. Then you have to have that in a document, in a specification sheet. Then you have to send that to multiple suppliers. And then you start to analyze, right, this is the market price. This is the average. This is probably the real price. And then now I can start to ask my questions. So now I can start to negotiate backwards from here. And I always say that, like, in China, you can get any price that you want. Like if there's a $10 item, you can get it for $6 if you want, but they're going to take shortcuts to give you that price. They're going to like do things in the production that are going to lower the quality, and you're going to get returns later on, which is why it's so important to educate yourself on the market price and then work with the best suppliers that way, knowing that you're still getting a good deal. And here's the thing, like, you don't always have to go with the supplier who's giving you the cheapest price. You can say, look, pick your favorite supplier you want to work with. You're like, look, you're the supplier I want to work with. However, I've been quoted this price from another supplier. And if you can just match the price, then I'm happy to give the business to you and we can work together for the long term. So you're giving them the chance to match it just in case, because they're expecting you to negotiate. Like they don't, when you ask for a price, they're not giving you the best price immediately, because they want to understand if you know about this product and if you're a serious buyer, and if you know that, okay, that's not the real price, then you can sort of like negotiate and they'll understand that. But that's really the best way to ask around, build your specification sheet, come from a position of knowledge, and then start negotiating. And then, like once you understand the specifications of your product as well, you may not know that. First of all, you may say, okay, this is the product I want to purchase, but you don't know the details of the product.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, go to other Alibaba suppliers that maybe you don't necessarily want to work with, right? Because I think on our last call, we discussed how to select the best manufacturers on Alibaba. Now you can say, all right, these are the ones that I want to work with. So I'm going to select the ones that I don't want to work with. And I'm going to ask them like all the stupid questions, like what materials are normally used on this product? Like what's the shelf life of this product? Like, does this product go out of date? What markets, purchase this product? How many percentage of returns do you get? Then come ask those questions, get your answers, then come with a place of knowledge, and then talk to the manufacturers you do want to work with. And then they were like, oh, wow, this is a serious buyer. He understands this product. We're going to give him the best price. We're not going to mess him around. So it's kind of like get all those questions out of the way and then come and ask. So that's just like one thing you can do. The other thing I like to do is like something I call like upsell quantity, because like, sometimes you'll ask a supplier the price for like 1,000 pieces, 5,000 pieces, and 10,000 pieces, right? You only were planning on ordering 1,000 pieces anyway, but you want to kind of see with their price for 10,000 pieces, what's the lowest that they were willing to go. Now, what I say to them is that like, look, this is the first order. This is a trial order. We're probably only going to order 1,000 pieces. But if everything goes smooth, we're going to come back and we're probably going to place the order for about 10,000 pieces, because that's a quantity we normally order for our other products. But I need your support. And if you can give me the price for 10,000 pieces, for 1,000 pieces, then I can really enter the market and hit it hard and offer the best price to my customers. Lower price will mean more sales for me, more orders for you. And I'll come back and I'll give you that 10,000 pieces order even quicker. Now, you may not get that price that they've given you for
of course.
10,000 pieces, but you'll get a lot closer to it. And they've shown you like what's the lowest they're willing to go to. So that's why it's always important to ask for the breakdown of the pricing as well. And then another thing you can do, particularly as a new seller, is always ask them, like, what material are you holding in stock? Because a lot of suppliers hold on to a lot of stock, a lot of materials, or some of them have had like canceled orders from other customers, and they just have stock in their warehouse that they want to get rid of, whether it be actual finished products that you can just apply your logo to the packaging, or if it's actually just materials which go into your product. So you can always just ask them, what items are you holding in stock and what materials are you holding in stock, and can you show that to me? And then you might get a much better price than what you were to ask for if you wanted like your own custom Pantone color or your own custom logo or something like that. So and also the other thing we kind of touched on before was about building that relationship via WeChat. And I think like the better your relationship, the better pricing you're going to get as well. So if you kind of focus on building that relationship, like you're going to get better pricing as your quantities increase and as your orders increase as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kian. Everyone, if you liked what you heard today, make sure you jump to Kian's amazing YouTube channel, Sourcing with Kian. You'll find fantastic information. I'll leave the link in the description box below. I'll see you in another video with more information. Bye.